I think also we've got this idea about, I think with art, that you have to be quote unquote good or publicly perceptive good
has
at
to be
art.
liked by the
It has to be liked by others.
Yeah.
Versus there's music on and I move my body. That's me dancing.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. In terms of it being interpreted as good or not, that's irrelevant.
That's how I feel about like illustration. That when somebody does like somebody who doesn't draw at all draws me something, and it's just I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
Like, I was like, that was just what you could get out. Like you draw my self portrait and you can't draw at all. I'm like, that's the one I'm keeping.
Yeah,
Like,
right. Because
yeah.
it's just like the rawness of it, and I really love that. This is a Because Design Matters exclusive.
93.3. This is Because Design Matters on CFMU. We are here with.
Oh, that's when I say my name, Josh.
Yeah, it's a
Taylor.
setup. Yeah, that's your name. Yeah, you're Josh.
I thought you were gonna say it, but no, yeah, Josh Taylor
Everyone thinks I'm
from Defining Movement Dance, Steel City DMD, running the 73 till infinity. That rhymed a little bit.
You prepared that.
I didn't even do it on purpose. It just happens naturally now.
Yeah, it's just in me.
Just it's in the DNA.
So yesterday was the first night.
Yesterday was the first night of the 73 till infinity. It's an outdoor dance series, and we had it on King William, 7 to 8, and it was just a straight up party. Just a party. Such a good time. It's a lot of planning to get into it, and then you get there, and it's just
Fun. Yeah,
it's just fun.
That's how it feels.
Yeah.
When you're at it, it feels like everyone's just having a good time.
Yeah. Because you got to jam with us last year, right? And that's kind of what we're looking for, right? Looking for to not exactly recapture, but it's inspired by the block parties that happened, at the beginning of hip hop.
Yeah.
And that all these people just coming together and just jamming. So you got the DJ, and then all of a sudden somebody's friend who's been playing with some rhymes jumps on the mic as they start emceeing, and then you got because of the breaks and the dancing, so dancers are coming and people are just partying. So that's like that's the inspiration of the vibe that we're trying.
And I think it's like
connect.
It was captured like outside a lot of times, right? It
Yes,
wasn't a venue wouldn't accept it, so then it was in these spaces that were just like,
Exactly.
oh, we're gonna claim this spot. I
Yeah.
mean, there's some space behind wherever. That's our spot for tonight, right?
And they would do it in like parking lots and outdoor basketball courts.
Yeah.
The areas in front of a building, behind a block, things like that.
Did you ever watch that Netflix show they tried to do about it? Did you see that show?
The Get Down.
The Get Down.
I started it
Yeah.
and I didn't finish it.
That's exactly where I am. Like,
Right?
I was gonna ask how you feel about it, but that sums it
I
up a
feel
little
like,
bit.
it's like I liked it, but
Yeah.
something it didn't.
It wasn't enough, or I don't know. It
something
didn't
about
capture me.
Yeah.
They had the good Puma deal or something. I remember there was like a shoe that like everybody in the show had the shoe. And I was like,
Yeah.
you got some money?
Yeah, clearly.
Yeah.
And it looked really nice. It was a
Yeah,
good
they had
looking
Jaden Smith in it.
Yeah.
He was playing somebody, I can't remember.
And there was the guy who ended up playing RZA in the Wu-Tang show. He was in there, I think. Was he in that show? Maybe not. I might be making some
blurry. I don't even know what year it came out, but
I don't know.
so if you had 60 seconds right now and you look in that camera, what do you want to promote? What do you want to tell
What do I
the
want to
people?
promote?
Yep.
73 till infinity. Outdoor dance series that is celebrating, or at least inspired by hip hop culture, and then celebrating dance and how dance kind of brings us together. And we're connecting with the elements of hip hop. So we've got a DJ. We got a DJ each night. Last night we had DJ Fazuli. Julia's who was amazing. This week,
Tariq Funk was out there last night too?
Yeah, Tariq was
Nice.
there with Soulquarium, and kind of a new band that they've put together.
I don't know about this yet.
Oh, they're
That's
amazing.
interesting.
It was amazing. They were playing James Brown. They played Hollywood Swinging at one part.
Tariq's like a one-man band in himself. Where he gets the flute out, he gets so talented.
Yeah, he's just jumping on the mic, back to the saxophone.
Oh, he had saxophone now?
He had a saxophone. He was ready to go. DJ Realistic, the Brown Brothers, and we've got dance crews. We've got RXD, DMD, of course, Defining Movement Dance. We've got COBA, Coalition of Black Artists.
Do you want the list? This will help.
Oh my gosh,
Oh, here
that's
we
even
go.
better.
Here we go. That'll help.
I'm
you.
doing off the dome.
Look, there's the
look
ad in issue 5 of the
beautiful.
magazine.
Look at that. It's beautiful. We had KWB and the Mighty Muffins crew. They did an absolutely dope breaking cipher. We've got Jade's Hip Hop Academy, which is from Mississauga, some good friends of ours, Omega Crew, and then we have battle. We have exhibition battles that are happening on each Friday. It's bananas. It's just bananas. We have a live band. We have, and I didn't even talk about the rappers. Last night we had Lex Leosis. Lex Leosis is coming back next Friday. Tomorrow we have Tariq. Switching from band to MC. We've got
Stealth 2 different versions of Tariq.
Yeah, man. We just get the whole package. Next Wednesday we have Stealth Elements from the High Cats.
Stealth is dope. I just saw him the other day.
Yeah, man. Dope. And then who do we have? Lex is Friday. And then there's Soap. Scribe and English.
I noticed that in the ad, and I wasn't familiar with them.
Yeah. Yo, they're nice.
Yeah?
They're nice. Both of them are artists in their own right. I came across Scribe as a spoken word poet.
Yeah.
I was familiar with his work that way. English, I knew kind of through the scene when he was doing some stuff over at.
And they're a duo now. They're a duo now.
They're a duo,
okay.
And are making some really really neat stuff. I think their album just dropped or is on the way out. I think it's actually on the way, and
that's even better for me.
Yes,
that means I can promote it. Sometimes it's fast. I'm like,
exactly.
it's just I just missed you with July.
Yes, yeah.
I go come back in the next one, but that coming soon. That's my favorite thing to hear.
Yeah. So at the very least, it's like new.
Yeah.
At the very least, it's new, and so many different styles of dance. So there's popping, there's hip hop, there's breaking, there'll be a little crump, there'll be jazz, there'll be tap. We've got some North Indian folk dance actually.
Yeah, now I
like
compiled my interview while I was listening to you talk to Lisa.
Oh, yeah.
And you mentioned that this year it's a little bit more, I want to say like eclectic. Eclectic was the word, yeah. It's different groupings of people than you.
Yeah, last year I really wanted to give people the feeling of like the story of hip hop, like the journey of all of these different styles and genres of music, like jazz and rock and Motown music and soul music and funk music, and then give little tidbits of kind of how we got to hip hop as a culture musically, and then also dance and how we got there. And this year, it's that, but also a little past that. Like hip hop came, it's here, and then like dance styles and music kind of bleeds into dance hall a little bit. Yeah. Bleeds into Afro beats a little bit. How people how dance evolves, but also like the connections between different dances and different genres is what I wanted to see.
Fusion of like blending together.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And I feel like that might even be part of the future of what this thing is. How we can continue to like old school, new school, and then all the way out, and the fusion things, and how we can get people to pair like for a couple of the shows we have a jazz Lindy dancer, and they're going to be paired up with a street dancer.
Jazz
and then the band.
Lindy dancer.
Yeah, Lindy hop. Yeah, and then they're going to like
explain that.
Go back and forth.
Explain
so
that
jazz Lindy hop.
Who doesn't know what Lindy hop is?
So Lindy hop was a style. It's kind of like pre-swing, before swing.
Oh, okay.
Before, if you think about swing, it's Lindy hop is your kind of like original.
So where that came from? Dance,
yeah. It was dance a lot to the kind of big bands.
Yeah.
Started around the early 1900s when a lot of so it was like African American workers and servers and things like that, and this is how they were jamming to that music, and then it's wild when you see the old videos.
And I picture like everybody kind of in sync when they're doing it too.
But it's really acrobatic when they're and I mean we're talking about a soloist, but be throwing each other and doing a lot of fancy footwork. This is like the lead into jazz, and what we would call vernacular jazz, which is like things like the Shag, Lindy Hop, Balboa. And there's all of these like styles that happened in those early 20s. And one of the neat little facts, my lovely little geek facts that I love, is so there's this place called the Savoy. There's the Savoy Ballroom in New York.
Okay.
Maybe opened in the 30s.
Yeah.
And a lot of bands, big bands ended up there. Actually, there's a story, I'm still yet to confirm it. I've seen it from a few places, but there's a story that Ella Fitzgerald actually lived like across the street as a young girl, right?
Wow,
As it was beginning, and saw the acts come in and out of it, and would watch every night from where she lived. And anyways, she ended up, when she got big, she ended up singing at the Savoy. Anyways, Savoy Ballroom was the first actually integrated bar in the United States. When so African Americans and white, so black and white patrons were coming and dancing together, and Lindy Hop is what brought them together: the band, the music, and the dance.
So the mutual love for that like style.
Yeah, yeah, and that's one of that story kind of sits in my mind a lot.
Yeah, because
it's an example of how dance connects and how music connects beyond anything.
I think when people have a mutual appreciation of something like that, and
Absolutely.
Like dance and music, like people hold that close to them, like
it's expression.
No other
it's
thing, right? Like people are so passionate about music. People who don't make music at all or like dance as well, it's just like they'll be so into it and just like then work their regular job and have a separate but then they're like this thing.
But this is their thing.
They're like, this is the most important thing to me, and this is what
amazing to me.
This is what I do. Like I go out to the club and dance when I'm not feeling. Know what I mean? Just like, or dance around their house to music when they're at home. Like it's just so integrated into someone's like life and what makes them happy.
And I think it's more integrated into most of our lives than people think. Because I think also we've got this idea about, I think with art, that you have to be quote unquote good or publicly perceptive good
it has
at
to be
art.
liked by the.
It has to be liked by others.
Yeah.
Versus there's music on and I move my body. That's me dancing.
Yeah.
That's the bottom line. In terms of it being interpreted as good or not, that's irrelevant.
That's how I feel about like illustrations. Like when somebody does somebody who doesn't draw at all draws me something, and it's just I'm like, that's it.
That's it.
I was like, that was just what you could get out. You know what I mean? Like you draw my self portrait and you can't draw at all. I'm like, that's the one I'm keeping.
Yeah,
like,
right. Because it's just like the rawness of it, and I really love that. I really love that. That's actually what we are really trying to achieve with this show, is that rawness of getting everybody together, getting a band, getting an MC, getting a DJ, getting these dancers, all of these dancers who love and live and breathe this thing in all of their different genres and styles, and let everyone's passions just
and you see people around in the crowd who like can't contain themselves, right? Like you see it like pushing through.
Oh, last night there was this little kid, maybe honestly tops three, and he just came in on the floor, and everyone was just letting him come on in, and at one point Lex was rapping to him, and it was so beautiful. And then after that interaction, this guy was dancing and going back. His parents were like, "It's actually his birthday tomorrow." I'm like, "Oh, we know what we have to do." And then we sang this kid, all these 150 people sang this kid happy birthday,
and he's gonna remember that.
And I hope
even if his brain grows and he forgets, there's gonna be some videos of me saying he's gonna feel that moment.
They recorded it.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like
I was like tearing up.
He'll forget, but then he'll feel like he remembered through that video.
Yeah, exactly.
That's why you need that stuff too, right?
So it's really nice to see people engage in it. I've been saying to everyone, I don't want you to think of it as a show. It's a party. We're having a party. And that's everybody there. We
talk about this stuff as far as how to like onboard people into like the culture of the art scene and into like whatever you're working on. You're like, oh, I got an event. How am I going to get people interested? I think doing it outside like that is like the best point of entry, because somebody can just be outside doing something, and obviously it's outside. This is free. This is, you make it so accessible for people to come check out. It's the middle of summer. It's the end of summer. Whenever in summer, it's hot outside. They want to come see something. Yeah, they want to enjoy something.
I think accessibility is such an important part of art, especially because like sometimes unless you're really, really well versed or following the scene, you don't really know what you like.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, or that's not, or you don't know what you don't like, or I'm not sure if that's if I'm saying what I need to say. But I guess what I'm saying is, like, I've seen people say they don't like theater, and then see an outdoor theater show and go, I really liked that. I really enjoyed that. It's like, so do you not like theater, or do you not like the idea of theater, or what you thought
You've never seen a version of it that you like.
Yeah, there's people who say they don't like dancing or like breakdancing, but they'll stop and watch a show like this. Or I'm not a fan of hip-hop, but then you see this person rapping it, living it in front of you, and you're engaged in it, and you're enjoying that performance. So it's
you just thought you didn't like the version that was being given to you, or that you felt like encapsulated the whole thing.
Yeah. And I think, like, so, you know, the more free, the more accessible events that we have that are open to the public allows people to engage in art without barriers. And that's so important. Because,
and then they understand it better.
Yeah.
They understand why it needs funding. And they understand why it needs support. Yeah, and they see all the, there's all these components that... Yeah. So, speaking of a wider audience seeing these things, the Olympics.
The Olympics.
Yeah. Breakdancing's first year in the Olympics.
Breaking's first year in the Olympics, which is such a... That's massive.
Huge.
It was massive for the culture.
I remember when they announced that it was coming in, that it was like a good thing for hip-hop culture as a whole, but just like as a new thing, right?
Yeah. And then the last couple days happened.
So now do you think it'll be in the next Olympics is my first question.
Funny, that decision was made a while ago. They actually decided that in 2003.
That it was in this one? Or that it's in the next one?
That it wouldn't be in 2008.
Oh, okay.
Or 2028. Back in time.
Really? That's so weird to me.
They already made the decision. They're bringing in flag football.
Instead.
And some other things. Cricket's huge around the world, so I get that.
Flag football is funny to me as a replacement.
Flag football is cool, but like, how many people are really playing flag football around the entire world?
Do they have regular
the US
football?
Can't. Yeah. No, they don't.
Oh, okay, there we go. Now, I was like, so you got regular and then flag.
But that said, it's often that a country wants to bring in a sport that is popular in their country, or that will help whatever sport is popular in the country.
So like that was Japan's
football, whereas in France,
Japan.
Oh, you mean like this year, Paris?
Paris.
Dance is massive in Paris or in Europe, massive, with some of the biggest dance competitions exist in Europe. Like
so it made sense for them to
Summer Forever. It made sense. Like they knew, if you look at the crowd there, it was filled.
Yeah.
You know.
And when you say the last few days, you mean Ray Gun?
Oh yeah. And I'll tell you, you know, it's so there's.
I have minimal notes.
Yes, please.
That's one of them.
That's one of them. And you know what's really unfortunate about that situation is that was a dancer who that really wanted to and you've said it, she said it in interviews, wanted to come and do it, but she knew she wouldn't be able to hang with those people, so she decided to be creative and so on. But here's the thing, that works at a very small battle, not at the world stage Olympics.
With a bunch of people who appreciate it already. Like, oh, you're trying something different.
And,
right?
and you know what, though? Like, in a smaller dance competition that isn't, like, from the world stage, that works. In a dance crowd, that could work. Mind you, there's some questionable moves. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that.
Everybody keeps quoting something like this.
Yeah, like the camera and all that stuff. But the thing that is most unfortunate about it, and I really, really... There's two things that are most unfortunate about it. One, that the level of bullying that's ultimately happened to this poor woman.
Yeah, I just watched her video today being like, oh my God, please leave me alone.
Yeah.
Like,
there's that. And the fact that, like, she is a hip-hop scholar. She actually, before a couple days ago, is well respected within the scholarly, looking at culture and hip-hop and dance as a culture. I have a book called the Oxford Handbook on Street Dance, on hip-hop dance, and it's there's a bunch of dance contributors who are really important to the scene, and her name is in there.
So like she just came up with this
It's
idea
not-
because
it's-
people were framing it like, oh, she came up with this idea that she was going to be the judge and the jury and the this
No,
who got to go from Australia, and
She just made it. She just made it. And
yeah.
the thing is,
and
is
Twitter
that,
runs with that story,
and
it's like,
runs
oh, yeah,
with
that's
that
what
story.
happened. That's
and
what happened.
And then the second part that's really unfortunate,
Mm-hmm.
I would say even the main thing,
Yeah.
is that we're not talking about B-girl Nika. We're not talking about B-girl 671. We're not talking about B-girl Sassy from France. We're not talking about, you know, I'm forgetting some of their names, but and the winner, Amy.
The takeaway name becomes
Amy, right?
Reagan, because that's what
and
got the
that's
controversy,
name.
right?
And
Like,
meanwhile, like
media
you
ran with that one.
Ran with it. There were 16 women there. 15 of them were really good. 14 of them were phenomenal.
Yeah.
8 of them were out of this world.
Yeah.
And we're talking about the one that not even is truly bad, just didn't do a good job there.
Yeah.
I hate that.
Becomes the meme one. So that's all we talk about.
And here in Canada, we had the gold medal winner.
Look, that's
in
not on my
Phil
question
Wizard.
list. That's not on my question
Phil
list.
is so dope, and
Yeah.
Phil, if you watch Phil Wizard as a breaker and as a dancer, I think what's really awesome about watching it was so exciting, was watching him do what you need on a stage like that and
Yeah.
the dance component. He was doing originality. He had a lot of original moves, excellent musicality, but then also
Knew his audience for the night, right? Like,
and could
that's
hit
the-
those power moves.
Yeah.
You know, like as a battler, he was clearly a gold medal participant.
Yeah,
you know,
it wasn't questionable.
it wasn't questionable. He was just on point. You could see how well skilled he is, how strong he is, and also how artistic and how skillfully artistic he is. And we're just not talking about him, and we're
So
not talking.
one of
about
my questions was
those
going to be,
guys.
who was your favorite? That was my follow-up question.
Oh.
That was the question. I was like, this is the bad story. Who's your favorite? Sounds like it was him.
Phil, and
Yeah.
Phil would be my favorite even if he wasn't Canadian.
Yeah.
I think
Just extra points that he's Canadian.
Yeah.
Like, yeah.
In terms of the B girls, I really loved B girl Sassy from France.
Yeah.
She was so fun to watch, and that's SVSSY. Look her up, folks. Please look her up.
I'm gonna throw clips
Look up
in here. I'm gonna throw
logistics.
clips
Yeah.
we were talking about.
So many dope breakers, and frankly, it was like massive for the culture.
It's huge. On the Olympic
Massive.
stage is like where people see things as like that's the official seal of it.
Yeah, of things. So it's
Yeah,
it's-
that's just
Yeah, and mind you, I think it also shows a bit of the flawed system in terms of how something like that within the culture can possibly even get co-opted, and who is the organization that organizes the battles getting into this, and that's a whole other thing where that some of the OGs and some of the people weren't as involved in the process of getting this into the Olympics, but like they did do a good job.
it's like the Olympics kind of decided and then pulls it in and doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily always go to the people who are.
Yeah, exactly. Well, there's this the WDSF, the World Dance Sport Federation.
Okay.
So they're the ones. They're actually a ballroom dance federation originally,
interesting. Yeah.
and then they kind of took over that. So they're an organization that's actually outside of breaking culture that ended up kind of putting this together to get there. So there are some things that I think the conversation even that's come up in the last few days within the culture of breakers and dancers to me like, did we let this get away from us a little bit?
Yeah.
And I don't even know if that conversation would be happening if we didn't have the situation
I'll
with
say
the
it
Aussie
sparks a good
breaker.
conversation for it to make a like great triumphant return.
Yes.
Right? Like maybe not in
Yes.
LA, but in the next one.
I
right?
hope
Like,
they bring it back to Australia, which is
That'd be really
2032.
is that the next one?
The next one that would be
Summer Olympics, right?
next summer Olympics. It goes LA
Wow.
to 2028,
Yeah.
and then 2032.
What a good way for that to like
I hope
come
so.
back around.
And then I hope she comes back and kills him.
Yeah,
Just maybe like
that's gonna
on
be
the
what we
sidelines
push,
and not as a
the
competitor.
Olympics, what do you say, 2032?
2032.
In Australia,
In Australia.
needs breaking.
Yeah.
This is my petition.
Yeah. I think people were enamored by it. And until that narrative got pulled, people, we were all vibing.
Yeah,
And it
I was seeing nothing but good things.
Oh, it was
and then all of a sudden, it just
amazing.
like, all at once, it like collapsed online. and it just became this one story. And then I couldn't tell if it was about one person or if they were talking about the whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It just like, it spreads. And then you're like, oh, are they saying it shouldn't be in the Olympics? No, they're talking about this one person,
This one
right?
person, yeah.
Not even had me confused at the start.
Yeah. But it's odd because, I mean, like, do we look at the last person who came in table tennis and then...
Yeah, and judge them
And
that
then
way.
judge them about that, right? Like,
Because that zero score rang out, and they went, "Oh, this is."
Yeah, and I think there are a number of. I was saying to my wife today, I'm like, I think there might be a level of misogyny in there too, right? In terms of like, I don't know if we were looking at a male breaker having a performance like that, if we would be looking. I could be wrong though. I could be wrong. I think there are numbers. Also, like, the. I think she ended up being an easy target. She's an older, white, Australian woman.
Yeah. There was some strikes against her for the...
Right, in terms of people being able to, like...
Something from the hip-hop culture. She
Yeah.
didn't do it the tradition... What they wanted,
whatever way.
right?
People, and I think breakers and dancers, before this all happened, you're like, okay, well, she's just not there. Like, that was the end of the thought. She doesn't deserve to be there. There's nothing terrible about that.
And
it's
you
just
let Twitter get its hands on it. And
people who are outside the culture don't know what they're talking about.
Clue.
They're like,
all of a sudden, this turns into, it's like the sprinkler. It's all sorts of things, right? Like, it just spirals out of control.
It was rough.
The internet.
But there's some excellent... I hope people go back and watch some of those incredible breakers.
I'm giving them no choice. If they're hearing this right now, they're watching.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Yeah, man. I hope so. Go watch them. All of them. They're so dope. And we have... we actually have great breakers at 73 till infinity.
Yeah, if you want to see an example.
Want to see some examples, we have some excellent breakers.
You
that
could
will
come
be
out tomorrow night.
Stage. Tomorrow night.
You could come out the 28th.
The 28th, the 21st, the 23rd.
I read that back. And
you read it? Yeah, it's right there.
It confused me.
It
goes 14, 16, 28, 21, 23. I was like, wait a second.
I know, right? It's because
it took it being printed for me to know it's it's for the two locations.
It's two locations.
Had me tricked for a second. I was like, this is
keep you on your toes.
Yeah, it did. I doubled back.
Toes.
You had to read it twice.
Mm-hmm.
Now, speaking of the internet, speaking of media and all this, do you think some of this had to do, at least for us in Canada, that we're getting all our internet stuff just from other internet people because we can't see the news? Right? Like, if the news could have reported on Twitter, Facebook, and all that stuff, that the gold medal winner was the gentleman you said.
I think we're just at a point in culture where that it's just those kinds of things go faster.
Yeah.
Like
the success story is the day.
It's easier to make
failure
fun of
is a week, right?
So yeah, exactly. Mm-hmm. Yeah, success is a day. Failure is now pushing a week, and it's probably going to go a long time. And I think like
that's tough to do on the internet.
yeah, things don't live that long, but memes live forever.
The longest living is her and Drake. That's the two storylines that survived.
Right? If you can be memeable,
yeah, that's what they did. They took a couple of short clips and stuff,
and that's it.
Well, speaking of that, we had 900 CFML closed its doors yesterday. Another local radio.
That's too bad.
Which I think is bad for like the city because
so.
Things that are important can't be reported on the same way.
Yeah.
And they credited some of it talking about that sponsorships were going to like the internet and other things like that.
Yeah,
and I think it's that, but I think their inability to like promote themselves on the internet, I'm sure, was attached to their advertising dollars.
Yeah.
That they can't reshare the article or reshare the link to all these things.
True.
Like that
That's
puts
a good
them.
Point. Yeah,
and I know CFMU's under the same issue that their Instagram is just.
Yeah, because they're like, oh, you're a news organization.
Yeah, they're like people from the States
blocked.
can see it. So,
yeah.
What good does that do CFMU, right? Like they rely on local.
And I know that there's been, people said, oh, Trudeau. But like there is something to be said because this comes from the bill that had to do with.
I forget what it's called. Bill
maybe 128, possibly.
It's a number.
And it was a number of some sort.
Government numbers.
Having to do with asking those media companies to also specifically like support Canadian content, which frankly I actually don't think is that difficult of an ask. What it does for those companies is make their profits smaller, and that's why they're
local
like,
talent.
no, thank you.
Yeah,
and so it's really.
I remember that's always a thing. I forget the Canadian rules on it, but you have to play a certain percentage of Canadian content.
Yeah.
And I think that does well for our creators. Otherwise,
It's important.
It would just be all
Constantly United
It
States.
would be just the United States.
Yeah.
Because there's so much going on there, right?
Yeah.
But-
And people from around the world come to the United States to work, and
Yeah.
even when movies, media, different things, they're actually getting some of their work edited in the United States. So it ends up being the epicenter. So in a place like Canada, it is tricky. Like you can see it. It's kind of like something like Schitt's Creek became huge in the United States, and then it got bigger here.
Yeah.
Right? That was a Canadian show.
Canadian actors,
with Canadian
right?
actors.
Should have hit here first.
And
but
that's the proof. That's the proof
we'll
right
follow
there.
the trend a lot of times, but
Yeah.
I think we don't stop seeing the news because they put these caps on CFMU or 900 CFML. It's like we just end up seeing it from sources that are like less reputable.
Absolutely.
Like Six Buzz isn't flagged.
No.
You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
Six Buzz still actively
Yeah.
can post all these same news stories and
Yeah.
all this same stuff, but we're seeing it under a lens that's
As a very specific
not to
lens.
say the other lenses can't be skewed as
No,
well, but to
absolutely.
just mute them.
Yeah.
and
And then
not-
you get an account like that.
I'm concerned talking about certain topics because I'm like, at what point do you go, oh yeah, that's a news clip, you're done?
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
yeah,
And just
it's
click my
true.
whole account off, and all of a sudden I
Really?
gotta try to navigate that.
That's a good
This is
point.
not the news.
This is not the news, just for the record.
Yeah.
All entertainment.
This is just jokes.
Entertainment.
This is a talk show. We just kidding around.
Yeah, that's all. That's
Nothing
it.
serious. Please fix it
No.
though.
Yeah. This is not a news
Yeah.
show. All about entertainment, having a good time.
Please don't block me.
Yeah. And I also think like we're in a time that media literacy, personally, especially in Canada, has to be at an all-time high. We have to be really, really good at it because now we aren't getting our news sites, which often a lot of them are skewed anyways.
Sure.
But we have to get outside of those platforms.
Now we're getting real, like, if we were getting a skewed piece of information to begin with, now we're getting a skewed secondhand piece of information.
Yeah.
At least
Yeah.
give it to me from the skew.
Yeah.
Give it to me secondhand as well. It just makes
We have
it
to
tough
actively get off of those platforms and go to news sites to get news.
Yeah.
So
or it's on Twitter still, which
Yeah.
is the one platform I think Canada can still get
That's true.
articles. And I do like that they it's user flagged, but
Yeah,
things will be
it'll
flagged to be like,
flag,
that's not
true.
true. That's
Yeah.
not, and I think
Which,
that's
to be honest, is really important.
Yeah.
Because the amount of misinformation.
I'd be believing it. I'm believing it. It's
And
fake.
you see
I
the sign, oh, okay,
what was that? That was so believable up until that point.
Like, this is actually from 2002.
Yeah. And I'm like, fooled me.
Completely out of context.
Like, I was in.
Oh, you got me.
Yeah.
It is important right now for us, all of us, to check. You read something, immediately just do a little search.
Give it a Google. Just
Give it a Google because there's just it's rampant.
Mm-hmm.
It's rampant,
And there's important information floating around. If you can find it, there's a lot of important things happening.
There's so many things,
right?
One of the and maybe the last thing I'll say on it is like I was having a conversation. This was a while back. Whatever the situation was, and I was having this conversation with a person about we're in a scary time, or I say scary because it's scary because facts can't be agreed upon.
Yeah.
So, like, how do we have a conversation and really debate something if we actually can't even agree on what an actual truth is because of where that information is coming from right now? And that's a really hard way for us as a society to move forward on ideas and policies and things like that. So,
Tough
do your
spot
research.
to operate from.
It's
right?
really, really tough. How
Or to
do
have
you
a
connect?
conversation in general about something, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Tough place to start.
Yeah.
We don't figure it out, though.
We'll figure it out.
That's our only option.
That's our
what
only option. And through entertainment, because this is not...
We're going to figure it out through jokes and comedy
jokes
shows
and
and just fun stuff.
And dancing.
Yeah, and songs. Okay, final question.
Yeah.
Before we get you out of here, because you, as you said, you got little people outside.
Yes, yeah.
And they don't...
Who knows? They might be losing
their mind already.
proverbial poop right now. It's possible. Sometimes, and that could be literal.
That's tough. That's tough.
Could be.
I don't even got a segue off.
Yeah, no. It's,
What is your favorite Timbit?
I love that question because right now my son is on a Timbit kick. He loves Timbits. Like, we'll pass by tomorrow. Can I have a Timbit? Damn. He's got brand recognition. Yeah. My favorite Timbit. That's a great question. I think I have to go with the sour cream glazed. Because I feel like as a whole donut, sometimes it's too much. But as a Timbit, ooh,
Hits the spot.
Hits the spot. It's just the right amount. That sweet.
I was so anti sour cream glazed donuts for a while because I thought it was sour cream. And I think I'd like had
that
one.
That doesn't make sense
and
at
like
all.
Didn't know. And then I'd be like, sour cream. I'm like, oh, why are we eating these sour cream? It's not sour cream at all. Why we say this? I'm thinking like
it's
Philadelphia
delicious.
cream cheese and it's like a ball. Like,
you know what? I remember as a kid I didn't like cheesecake because before I tasted it because I'm like that sounds ew.
I'm pretty sure I was right there.
Gross. Gross. It's like my
meat
favorite
pies.
dessert.
Anything that sounded like a trap. I don't know. A made up meal.
Meat pie sounds like a trap.
I don't know. I don't
It
like
does.
it.
I don't.
What's your son's favorite Timbit before we get out of here?
His favorite Timbit is a birthday cake Timbit.
That's my favorite.
It's a great Timbit.
I used to like the chocolate Timbit. I don't know when it happened, but overnight, I like the birthday cake better.
It is nice.
Just a little bit of
Get
sprinkles.
little sprinkles on it.
I'm gonna have to go get Timbits. I thought I was gonna add this question to the show. I can't now.
Yeah.
It's gonna be a problem. Okay, I need two things from you before you go.
Yeah.
If you could say this is a Because Design Matters exclusive.
Yeah. Okay. This is a Because Design Matters exclusive.
And then say your name and that you've been watching Because Design Matters.
Okay. My name is Josh Taylor, and you've been watching Because Design Matters. Because it does.
Phenomenal. Appreciate you coming out.
Appreciate
I will
you,
see
man.
you at one of these shows
Yeah,
in the
brother.
next week.
I hope to see
They
you, my
are
dude.
tomorrow. They are the 28th. They are the 21st. They are the 23rd. I was trying to read it from way far. They are at
Oh,
King
yeah.
William Street and 96 James
And 90
Street.
Street, right beside Dr. Disc. So
7 p.m.
7 p.m.
You got no excuse. It's outside. It's sunny. It's
We're gonna
nice.
have a great time.
We'll see you there.
See you there.
Thanks for coming out.
Peace, brother. My name is Josh Taylor, and you've been watching Because Design Matters.